Thank you, Nut. Hello, everyone. Yes, it's such a blessing being able to be in this space with all of you, and also with Nut, and someone who I was incarcerated with, someone who I'm now free with, and many of you who I was practicing when um, when I was in the sangha and the inside. Now we're all in the same community sangha out here, and it's very meaningful. Um, today, what I'm going to share is, well, first I'll share how I came to Buddhism. Um, how I came to Buddhism was my own experience had become so turbulent that it drove me to look for something. Um, I didn't know it at the time that I was looking. What exactly I was looking for. I just didn't want to feel the way I was feeling. Everything, it just, there was just turbulence inside of me, and I wasn't enjoying the experience. Um, this search led me or brought me to Buddhism, and once I came and I started looking, I started eventually finding people, sangha members, guiding me, helping me. And early on, I remember um, someone shared with me a story that I'll share with all of you. It was about a practitioner who went to Nepal to look for a teacher to help him meditate. And after being told several times that he wouldn't help him, and just for him to sit there and listen to the teachings, finally the teacher helped him and gave him a little bit of advice on how to meditate. Um, After several days of the practitioner sitting down and practicing, he came back and he, having a concerned look on his face, the master asked him what was going on. Did he have any questions for him? And he tells them yes. He said that the meditation wasn't working, that he was feeling very troubled and concerned. And he asked them why, what's going on. And he says that he feels that the meditation isn't working because he's starting to have all these thoughts that he's finding very disturbing, and he thinks that the meditation is driving him crazy. So the master tells him that it isn't. After listening to him, he tells him that it isn't that the meditation is driving him crazy; is that he's always been crazy. That just meditation is helping him realize that. So I remember hearing that story early on when I started to practice Buddhism, and that story explains in so many ways my early experience with meditation, with Buddhist practices. Uh, I knew that my life was very turbulent. I was living in a way that at least on a surface level, I I had a lot of understanding that the life that I was leading needed changing. I wasn't happy, and it didn't align with the things that I was telling myself were important to me. I just didn't know um, how to get there, cross that bridge. And Buddhism helped me with that. And hearing that story, starting to practice, um, I started to. It helped me to introduce me, to my thoughts, to my feelings, the emotions that would come up. And I remember thinking to myself, where are these thoughts coming from? And I remember when I would ask myself that, and I would remember the story that someone shared with me. And I remember thinking to myself, my goodness, have I always been this way? Is this how, is is this what's been informing my actions of body, speech, and mind? And I remember the more I sat and spent time with myself, I started to see a pattern of these thoughts, of these emotions, of these feelings, and so I started to become convinced through the experience of sitting. Yeah, I've always been this. I've been like this for a very long time. The same teacher shared with me that what we've been practicing the most is what will come up the quickest, the fastest. So again, when I would come back and I would sit, the thoughts that kept emerging, the emotions that kept coming to the surface, I started telling myself, this is what I've been giving attention to. This is what I've been practicing. So now I needed to figure out a way by utilizing meditation. Uh, Luckily, I found it very useful in this area to continue to apply meditation in order to soften. I didn't know it at the time, but eventually it softened the space around these thoughts and these emotions in order to begin to uh, make a different choice. And to me, that was so interesting because it took a very long time of sitting, of of observing, of contemplating, and I realized today that I need that the sitting served um, as a way to clear things up for me to by looking at these things consistently help me to see these things clearer. Seeing these things clearer gave me something that I didn't have before, was convincing me. It gave me the ability to be convinced of how I've been living and how it didn't align with how I wanted to live. And it gave me the opportunity to start investigating um, other things that I can add to that list of how I wanted to live. Things that I never really gave any, I didn't give much thought to. Again, meditation, sitting down, provided me the opportunity to begin to think about these things, to give myself a quieter space, and gradually a space with uh, that became more roomy. Um, Let me see if I can add some a little bit more information with that. So a space inside of myself where I could sit more relaxed to think about these things, about what's important to me, what's important enough for me to and now align my actions to those things. And the more I thought about this, the more I contemplated, the more I observed my thoughts, the more I became convinced that one, I had been doing this for a very long time, and the things that were coming up, two, I found very disturbing. I found very disturbing. I remember thinking to myself, my goodness, if this was someone else, if this was someone outside of me, would I hang around with this person? You know, and to me that was very humbling. That was very humbling. It's also something that caused a lot of sadness and grief inside of me. Um, because I began to realize that to continue meditating and looking at these things and contemplating and choosing this different path, it was moving me away from uh, a series of actions that created who I was up to that point. That me following this new path meant saying goodbye to this person who was created through this series of actions. And to me, that was very sad. It caused a lot of sadness inside of me, and it felt like I was breaking up with someone that I knew wasn't good for me, but I couldn't let go. I didn't know how to let go, but I was learning, and it was very painful to let go. So the practice helped me go through this very bad breakup with myself. And that was brought up a lot of sadness. It even brought up a lot of tears and crying uh, inside of me. Um, uh, before, so I practiced like 8 or 9 years that way, and I continued to put myself through this uncomfortableness, or the uncomfortableness of looking at myself and sitting with myself, and sitting with all these things um, that I found very uncomfortable, that I found um, unacceptable. A lot of these behaviors, in and it was it was that I needed that, because it took that to create a repulsion inside of me with the things that I was thinking, doing, in order to uh, move in a different direction. And so I'll move from that. Right before I came home, I remember, now I'm practicing 7 days a week. I'm sitting, I have a sangha, I'm reading, I'm contemplating dharma, and it's the year before I came home. And I remember Diane, as she's saying goodbye to me, because I was already up for transfer to go to my first level 3, after 24 years of being incarcerated. And she tells me that she's sure that I'm going to go home, but she wants me to remember something, that when we coming home, she wants me to observe as desire begins to increase inside of me, to want, the wanting more. And I remember I thought that was very interesting, and I even thought that I remember having the thought, oh, that makes sense. Like, I understand that, and I thanked her for it. A year goes by after that. I transferred out. A year goes by, and I was found suitable a year later, and I came home. And as I'm walking this path now as a free person, um, I start to experience what Diane asked me to look out for, to observe the desire of wanting more. And again, I laughed when I noticed this, because I found myself very busy. I had made myself very busy. I have a part-time job. And now I started this small business on dog training, and I'm working 7 days a week. I'm waking up at 2, 3 a.m. and I'm going to sleep at 8, 9 p.m., sometimes even 11 p.m. Um, and I'm writing stuff on my whiteboard, my schedule and different dogs that I'm working with, and and I when I sit, I can observe that inside of me, the narrative of wanting more, of creating more in my schedule, of what I need to do tomorrow, today, with certain dogs, different dogs. And I remember smiling to myself, because the advice that Diane gave me, or the request that she made, it came back to me. And I'm noticing that I haven't been sitting as much as I used to. I wasn't sitting 6, 7 days a week anymore. I started telling myself, I'll get to it as soon as I can finish with this project or this thing with work. But I'm sitting a lot less. I'm still practicing some level, base level of mindfulness as I'm driving, or I'm doing working with dogs and different things. But it isn't the same. And I'm reminded of something else that Diane shared with me, that when we're practicing, she told me once that it might not seem that I'm getting many results, But when we stop practicing, we start seeing how much our practice was helping us. And that's what my observation has been. When I went back, when we went on the retreat on the 11th, um, I felt purged or of this life of living in society of work, 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 and it brought me back into the space of sitting down again, of sitting, of contemplating, of observing, and again, I find myself being introduced to me today of this narrative that has been created by me of my choices today. On paper, uh, I pay taxes, I pay my bills, I I I I, I make choices to be helpful where I'm able to, but I'm not sitting. I'm not sitting as much as I used to, and I'm having this experience of being introduced to the narrative that's running inside of me, that's giving rise to the choices I'm making today. And I'm asking myself, as I'm listening to myself, hearing myself saying what's important to me, and again, inviting myself to sit, contemplate, observe, contemplate what's coming up, practice just to look into consciously think about the things that are important to me and making conscious decisions to align my actions to those things again. So here I am again, uh, thinking about the story about the meditator that went to a master for some help. And after receiving some help, being dissatisfied by what he finds. But that dissatisfaction brought some more advice, which I find very helpful, and I hope all of you find helpful. Um, Hopefully, if it helps you, what I'm encountering today, it's not something that the meditation is causing inside of me, whether I label it as crazy or something disturbing. It's something that that's been there for a while. And with me, it's something that I constructed in the 3.5 years since I've been out, which is work, 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 and work some more. And some of it is it's condition based of how our society is, but a lot of it is my choices, the choices that I'm making today, um, and I'm asking myself what's important to me. What's important to me? Are they the values I say um, um, that I say I want to uphold? And if there is, I tell myself, sit sit with myself and start working on this relationship with myself. So I hope again I offer you this experience of mine. I love all of you, and thank you, Nut and Nancy, and all of you for giving me this opportunity to share this with you.